Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Brandon Starks. I am the founder and CEO of the People's Market. I am right here in the DMV reporting live. Super excited today. We are joined by the culinary educator expert, turned into my friend Auntie, who drops knowledge on me at all times. JuJu Harris. What's up, JuJu? How are you?
I'm excellent. Living the golden life.
She is living the golden life. We're going to explain that in just a second why she is living the golden life. The People's Market, we are a farm to door delivery company, and we provide folks here in the DMV with a farm to door experience. When I first, thought about this idea, a couple people were telling me like, how are you going to get people to cook local food? And to be honest, I was stuck. I didn't have an answer to that question, right? I was talking to a flower farmer by the name of Bahia Parks, who is like my guru, my coach. She's literally like my life coach, like seriously. And she said, you have to talk to my friend JuJu Harris. This is what she does. If you want to educate folks on how to cook this food, she is the right person. And in came JuJu Harris, and we have been inseparable ever since. JuJu, tell us where you are right now. And then, let us know how you got into culinary education. I didn't even know it was a thing before I met you. But I'm happy I did. But yeah, where are you? Like, why do you look so radiant and so like excited about life right now?
Yes, I'm thrilled about life. So right now I'm about an hour north of Rome in a little town called Tirano in the state of Lazio in Italy. I'm here in this house sitting for 3 weeks. But I've already been in Italy for 2 months. And this is part of what I'm calling my crone journey. It started off as a 3-month trip to Italy, and it's expanded to a 7-month trip to Croatia, Turkey, and Greece. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow.
the way I got into culinary education was that I used to be part of a mothers group called Mocha Moms, which is a national organization for stay-home mothers of color. I was in the Southern DC chapter, and those women are they're my heart forever. I love them so much. And we get together every week with a support group. Our kids would play. We'd sit and talk about our marriages or just being women or being pregnant or whatever. And invariably we come around to like, okay, I got to go home and get dinner going. But a lot of my friends they just didn't get a whole lot of joy from cooking.
Mm.
And they said, well, I always cook the same thing, even though I know it's not good for me. But if I cook something and my family doesn't like it, I wasted food and money because we're all on a certain budget because we were stay-home moms and we had one income coming in. So I started having these cook days at my house where I would send out a recipe, a list of ingredients, and a list of supplies to my girlfriends and say, come to my house and I'll teach you a new recipe that is delicious, it's easy to prepare, it's budget friendly, and we can knock that out together. Spend the day together, cook, our kids can play, and those turn into these really wonderful gatherings, cook days at Nana Juju's house, where I would teach my friends something new to make. The children would play, the wives could go home because they had dinner already. The husbands were excited, like, oh, you've been with your girlfriends all day and there's dinner ready. And
I hear that.
yeah, it got to the point where it was so popular that I started getting messages through my girlfriends like, hey, my husband wants to know when you're going to have another cook day. So those were just about a monthly thing I had going on. And then one day, a bunch of us were sitting around talking about what we were going to do when we eventually went back to work after raising our kids. And I said, well, I really wanted to do like women's massage and doula work. But my friend said, JuJu, you know cooking. You know how to take basically nothing or very, very simple, inexpensive ingredients and make really delicious meals. That's where your gift is.
Mm.
So I started doing cooking demonstrations at the local farmers market. And eventually that turned into what I do now, which is my career. And my specialty is teaching people how to eat well on a budget. At one point, we had food assistance. I was a WIC mom when my babies were little. And when my husband got injured in a motorcycle accident, we received food stamps for a little while. So I was very limited in my financial resources, but it was paramount to me that my family ate the best possible food that I could provide for them. And then also that kind of came as an extension of my love for women, because I knew, when the mom takes care of herself, when the woman takes care of herself, she could take better care of her family. So that's one of the reasons why I do this work. And I love it. Get a lot of pleasure.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. No, you're great at it, and I'm just so happy we were able to connect. So really, this is something that we're going to do on a regular basis. This is, a virtual cooking experience with the JuJu Harris. Again, I'm Brandon Starks, founder and CEO of the People's Market. One thing that JuJu did not mention, she is an author. All right. Can you see this? You still there, JuJu?
I'm here. Okay, carry on. Yep,
There
I'm an author.
All right, she is an author. Do you want to tell people how they can get access or order this beautiful cooking book, which has so many great recipes in it, breaks down, the different types of food, how to store your food, how to prepare the food, all of that. She really breaks it down in this book. And yeah, tell them your website, and I'll make sure I put a link in YouTube, but tell them your website, JuJu.
So my website is www.nanajujurocksfood.com. If you are a subscriber to the People's Market DMV, CSA, then you can get one of these in your first box. And if you like it, you can go on Amazon and order more. Just look up Healthy and Homemade, Eating Well on a Budget by JuJu Harris, and we'll get it out to you.
That's right. All right. So, JuJu, what is on tap for today? What is the menu looking like? What are you about to teach us how to make so that we can make our partners and our kids the happiest people in the world?
Okay, well, today I'm going to make a zucchini frittata because we're coming into squash season, and anyone who knows gardening knows that zucchini are very prolific. You get too many zucchini every year. So this is a recipe that I use a lot during the summer. And also I wanted to really, we'll talk about eggs later when I actually get to that part, but one of the offerings that Brandon has through the People's Market DMV are these pasture-raised, these beautiful eggs. And here in Italy, I'm taking care of 4 chickens, Elvira and the girls, and they're producing these amazing eggs. So I wanted to do something that promoted or that highlighted eggs. And like I said, we'll talk a little bit more about eggs later. And then this week's box, there were blackberries, and there are blackberries in the market here as well as peach season. The peaches are really delicious right now. So I'm going to do a peach and blackberry crumble that is very simple to make. And I'll also talk about some substitutes that you can have as you're making it.
That sounds beautiful. So what are we going to start with first, JuJu?
So we're going to start off with the crumble. And I'm going to show you a couple of different things. Do you have this camera on there? Here we go, coming up. All right. So beautiful blackberries. This is about 2 cups of blackberries, and this is 3 peaches. I want to show you how to make the crumble part first. So generally I do this in or normally I should say, I do this either in a blender or a food processor, and I was about to use their food processor, but it crapped out. So I ended up actually crushing the nuts. These are almonds. I just wrapped them in a dish towel and bashed them with a rolling pin. So I'm going to show you the old school way, the pre-modern, pre-machine way of doing the crumble. So we're going to use, this is a cup of oats, rolled oats. You could use instant oats, but the rolled oats just bake up better. Don't use Irish oats, because with Irish oats, you would need to cook them first before you even use this.
Got it.
Yeah, that is a cup of oats. And then, Brandon, are you going to also put the recipe somewhere?
Yeah, I think I'll put the recipe on YouTube,
Okay, cool.
and folks will be able to access it there. And I think what we'll also do is we'll put a link to your website on YouTube as well, so people can access the book. This is something that this is a recipe that's in your book already, correct?
Yes, it is. And in the book, it talks about a couple of different substitutes, which I can talk about those too. So,
Yeah, substitutes are important. That's really important for our
yeah.
audience.
So part of the cooking is being able to switch in and out with ingredients. It just makes it that much easier because if you don't have something, rather than running to the store, you can. I mean, it's so awesome now. You can just go online and say, "Oh, I don't have this. What can I substitute for that?" Yeah.
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
so I've got my oats. This is about a quarter cup of a half a cup of almonds. You could use whatever nuts you like. I'm particular to almonds, but you can make this with cashews or pecans or walnuts, Brazil nuts if they're really ripe.
Which
Peanuts,
type of nuts? What type of nuts is that?
Brazil nuts.
Oh, I'm not
Those
familiar with Brazil nuts.
that are kind of about that size. And if they're, I just learned this last night. If they are really, really ripe, they are very buttery. But if they're not very ripe, they have a slightly bitter taste, which is one of the reasons I've just always been put off of them. So
Got it,
I
got
have
it,
to pick
got it.
one. There you go. All right. And then you add some sugar. I'm going to use white sugar today. Since I'm cooking in someone else's kitchen, they had white sugar, but you can use brown sugar.
Is
And
there
brown
is there
sugar,
like a difference? I was gonna say, is there a difference? Sorry to cut you off. Is there a difference when using the white sugar and the brown sugar as far as consistency or the way that it bakes up or anything like that?
with the brown sugar is moister. And
Okay,
so because it has a little bit of molasses in it, so it just you can get more of sort of a mapley flavor.
gotcha.
One of the things I could add to this would be a little bit of what's it called? Vanilla extract. But today I'm just going to skip
Mm,
that because today, I mean, the fruit is so fresh. I really want the flavor of the fruit to shine through. I mean, if it's
yeah,
fruit that's, not quite all that, yeah, by all means, add a little vanilla. You can add other herbs as well. And then I'm going to add some cinnamon. The cinnamon is something most people can get really easily. So about a teaspoon. I personally love cardamom, and so I add cardamom to my crumble, and I'm gonna just stir that together, right? So if I was doing this in a food processor or a blender, I would
hmm
have put all these things in the canister and then just pulsed it so it's just kind of a fine meal. You don't want it super like sandy or really really fine because then it's not a crumbly. You just lose the texture.
got it.
Mm-hmm.
Hence
So
the
you,
word crumble. Hence the word crumble.
yes, exactly. So you just mix it together, and then I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of, excuse me, not 2 tablespoons, a quarter cup of olive oil. And again, if you're doing this in the blender or the food processor, you would add the oil and just pulse it as
Got
well,
it.
so that it gets kind of clumped together. And one of the things I really love about this crumble is this particular crumble topping is you can make it in bulk, just double or triple the recipe, and then you can keep it in the freezer and it keeps indefinitely, and that way you have it for a really quick dessert.
Or breakfast with like tea or coffee or something.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I usually eat it for dessert, but yeah, I mean, I'll eat it cold for breakfast. I mean, that's what I'm
Mm.
gonna do tomorrow. Is eat it for
Can you
breakfast.
mail some here, please?
Okay, and now, so since these berries and these peaches are so ripe and so sweet by
Mm,
themselves, I don't want to cover
hmm.
it up with a bunch of sugar, like in the
Okay.
picture. But I am going to add a little bit of honey because just the honey to me will just bring out a little bit more of the natural sweetness.
Mm,
You can also, at this point, add in your vanilla. If you use like rose water or orange water, you can put that in like a floral water.
yeah,
Um, if it's a soft fruit like this, like a very ripe peach or a plum, very ripe berries, there's no need to cook it beforehand. But if you're using
gotcha.
something that has more fiber texture, like if I do this with apples or pears, I'll cook them down a little bit and then add a little bit of flour so that
Okay.
they're just it's like a little jump to them, so that they just can
Gotcha.
cook that much faster.
So a question really quickly about where you got these berries from, where you got these peaches from, and why the flavor you think is just so different, maybe than what we're accustomed to in the States. Like,
Hmm.
what is it like there in Italy, or where you are in Italy? Is it less commercial? Is it more local? Like, what have you been experiencing there? And, how did you get these delicious berries and peaches? I know that sometimes when you go to the grocery store, they're harvested too soon, so they don't
Yeah,
always taste. They
right.
don't they don't they don't they're not always mature when you're eating them, so they're not at their sort of tastiest
Hmm.
point.
Right. Yeah. Well, all of this stuff is harvested locally because I'm in an agricultural section. A large part of this area is dedicated to um,
Mm,
olive and olive oil production. But there are a lot of small farmers that do just, they have gobs of fruit trees. Like where I am, they have pomegranates, figs,
wow.
plums, cherries. People have citrus here. So, it's basically people are just kind of like driving less than, I'd say 10 miles to get the food to market.
Wow.
And that's one of the reasons, that I really love what you're doing, because you're sourcing locally, so your farmers, the food that you are offering to your customers is fresh, it's ripe,
Hmm.
it's just picked. I mean, you said, okay, I just went out and I picked food up on Saturday, which meant it was harvested Saturday morning, and then
Yep.
you're dropping it off to your customers on Sunday. So the
Yeah.
nutritional value is still intact, and the food is fresh, and you're supporting not just a local business, you're supporting a local family. So with
Hmm.
commercial food, that food comes from miles and miles away. Generally, I mean, a lot of our food is imported from out of the country as well as out of state. I do live in Maryland when I'm not an Italian resident. And I still am a Maryland resident despite my best efforts. But yeah, but you're supporting a family. Like you've built this relationship with the people, your farmers that you're going out weekly to source from. And so you're
Yeah.
getting to know them, and they're getting to know their families, rather than, okay, I just went to Safeway, or I just went to Giant and I bought this bag of something. I have no idea who's picking this.
Exactly. Exactly. And another thing, that I think about is, especially because I know you're in Italy, when you come back here, you'll feel the energy that's happening over here since the Roe versus Wade, you know,
Sorry.
shenanigans, right?
Yes.
Um, but it makes me think, like, who are we supporting? Whose money? Who are we giving our dollars to? And I think when you purchase anything, you're voting, right? You're saying, I'm voting for this family. I'm voting for, you know, this group of people, right? And you don't even know where this food comes from. You don't even know, what these people believe. They're not in your community. They're not local, right? They don't really owe you anything, right? They're just working with Walmart or Safeway or Giant, right? Or Whole Foods, right? And they have a contract with them, and there's a certain amount of orders they need to fulfill, right, to make sure that they keep those shelves stocked. And it's
Right.
also such a high volume. People are putting all types of pesticides. Even some of the organic food, has legal right pesticides in it.
Mhm.
And to me, why not support local agriculture? Because it really is cyclical. It comes back to your doorstep, because now you're supporting, a local farmer who then can feed more families in the area in which you live. And if there is any issues with, like, droughts in California, right, or any issues with, food shortages in part of the country,
Mhm.
you have a source right in your
Right
backyard
there.
that can
Right
feed you
there.
and your family. So for me, it's like, let's not starve out our greatest resources. Let's support them so that
Mhm.
when we really need them, they have the capacity to feed as many people as possible.
Yeah,
Right?
and they're hiring local people to do the
Exactly.
work, who are being paid a fair wage. I mean, the
Exactly.
majority of food in the United States is picked by migrant farm workers who are basically working all day and they are living below the poverty level. I really encourage everyone in the DC area to go see the exhibit that's at the Smithsonian Anacostia Community Museum now, about food in the DC area. It's a really, really powerful exhibit. It's really fantastic. And one of the things that I really love in that exhibit is that it shows migrant farm workers who are paid 65 cents per 35-pound bucket of tomatoes. So all day long, they're harvesting. They hoist this thing on their shoulder. They run over to the truck. They dump it in, and then they get like a chip, sort of like a checker piece. And at the end of the day, they cash in their checker pieces, and that's how much they get paid that day. So in the exhibit, it has you try to pick up a 35-pound can and put it on your shoulder and walk the length of the room. And so you see what people are going through for just, crap wages and really, really insane working conditions. And one of the things that I love about sourcing locally too is like when the beginning of the COVID started, I looked up what had happened during the Spanish flu, like how that impacted the food system. So the case I found was for like Philadelphia or something. And so, people who were working and picking the food were sick. And then the truck drivers who normally brought the food into the city were sick. So food was not moving from the city, from the country into the city. So there was a food shortage, just like with COVID. There were people who were available. They were still picking the food in the fields, but then the truckers weren't bringing the food into the city. That's why we had food shortages. And then, you can still see that happening now. So if you have a local source of food or you're growing your own food, then you don't have to rely on an outside source that's all the way across the country to get the food that you need to feed your family today. And we also saw that there were limits. Like, I was going and they're like, okay, 1 bag of beans, 1 bag of rice. Right? So
I remember.
You're able to get, you're keeping this local economy going. You're getting the food that you need, and you don't have to wonder if it's going to make it from way over there to over here today. Exactly. So that's because I'm a big proponent of sourcing locally. Also, thinking about the people who are picking the food, who are harvesting, like what conditions are they living under? And we can talk a little bit about like animal welfare when we talk about the frittata and eggs and stuff. But what are these people going through to get that food to you?
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to I'm looking forward to getting back to Maryland so that I can actually go out and to meet the farmers. So, because I see all the food that's coming, I'm just like, dang, I want a box, but I'm over here. So when I get back, I want to go meet the farmers.
When you get back, you will have a box at your doorstep, right? And we'll make sure you have a box at your doorstep. All right. So my bad. I got us like off on a tangent. Back to the berries and the peaches. Excuse my political undertones. I'm always gonna drop that in there. It's just who I am. I can't help myself.
No, but this is what makes this so cool, is because you're not just getting food to people. You're talking about community, making connections and networking, and like how are we working towards a greater good of taking care of ourselves, taking care of other people, taking care of our community. So I'm all over this. That's why I'm here with you in Italy.
That's right. That's right. In Italy with me, dedicated.
So let me just finish this and we can go on to the next thing. All right. So I'm going to just go ahead and spread this crumble on top of these berries. And I'm going to stick it in the oven at 350 for about 25 minutes. If you are using something, like I said, if you're using like apples or pears, and you've cooked them beforehand, the baking time will still be just about the same, 25 minutes. And you're going to want to cook that till it's brown. So let me get that into this. For the crumble, what's the name of the item again? Oh, the berry crumble.
Berry crumble. So we're just waiting for the berry crumble. It's in the oven right now. Yeah. What's it cooking on? What temperature is it cooking on?
So it's cooking at 350.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. 350, which is something else in Celsius here. They don't use normal numbers.
Okay. So with that, how long should it stay in the oven?
It's going to be in there about 20, 25 minutes. So by the
Okay.
time we've got the frittata ready to go in the oven, it should be ready to pull out.
Very good, very good. And is there like a certain color that you're looking for, or consistency
Golden
that you're looking
brown.
for to pull it out?
Yeah, golden brown. You know, if it's charred, it's just a little too long. But golden
Okay.
brown, yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So what the frittata? What do we
All
have
right,
going on?
so I chose frittata partly because, as I said, we're going into zucchini season, so you're going to be seeing lots of different kind of summer squash, yellow squash, zucchini. This week in your box, you all got Swiss chard. So this recipe, you can actually use Swiss chard, and I can talk you through the substitutions of that. One of the things I did want to do was to highlight eggs because I'll show you these beautiful eggs.
Those are
Um,
gorgeous.
yeah, these are lovely. So there's 4 hens here. 2 of them are rescue chickens, Elvira, and I don't know the other one's names. So only 2 of them are laying, but they are producing these beautiful eggs. I'm getting 1 or 2, sometimes 3 eggs a day while I'm here. And as you
Wow.
can see, they come in different sizes. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was looking at your website, and you are getting eggs from Curamore Farm.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about the eggs that you get from there, and then I can go over the egg thing here.
Yeah, sure. Well, Curemore, they are local. They're right here in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. They're a family-owned farm, so it's a couple, Shantae and Drake. And they really just decided that, they wanted to live off the land, so they purchased a 2-acre farm in Upper Marlboro. Bought some chickens, learned about how to, raise chickens. Um, and now they are our primary sourcer for eggs. All of their eggs are from grass fed, sort of pasteurized chickens. So their chickens can pasture raised. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
pasture raised. So their chickens roam. They have like a small little fence up, but they're in the grass all day. They have like a little chicken coop for them to go into at night. And they're those chickens are just chilling. They're living their best life. So the eggs, I mean, that they produce, the yolk, just similar to the yolks that I'm looking at that you have here, JuJu, are just like outstanding. I mean, they're so rich. They definitely have happy hens, and you can tell the difference seriously in the taste. Like I had eggs this morning. I have a bunch of spinach that's left over from my box, not even this week, but the week prior. That's still the spinach is still fresh. So I just sauteed the spinach, and I made like a spinach omelet this morning with those eggs. And I'm just gonna tell you, like, those eggs don't burn as quickly. Their flavor and the richness is great.
Mhm.
I ate breakfast this morning because I'm an early riser. I ate breakfast around 7 a.m. You know what I'm saying? So it's, it's almost 12:30, right? And the reality is that I'm still good. Like, it's holding me down. I can tell the difference in these eggs than the eggs that I will eat, from the grocery store.
Mhm.
They're not as watery. They're super rich and super tasty, and creamy, and I don't have to add as much salt and pepper to them. So, or use as many eggs too. Like for an omelet, pretty large omelet, all I needed to use was 2 eggs, and that's holding me down.
Yeah.
Traditionally, if I go to the grocery store, I have to use like 3 or 4 eggs to make a hearty omelet. If I have like those traditional white eggs that everybody's sort of used to eating that are very like commercial. So
Yeah.
it definitely makes a difference. It's definitely a small detail, the eggs, but they make a huge difference in filling you up, giving you those nutrients that you need. I'm just not as hungry. I don't need to eat as much. They're much more rich, and they just taste better. So
Yeah, they do taste incredibly different. I mean, it's amazing the taste difference. I just wanted to briefly talk about eggs from like my farmers market days. I learned some stuff. So a lot of different chickens. There's so many different kinds of chickens. In America, we usually have the chickens that lay the white eggs, but the brown eggs have become really a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Full shells. But chickens can lay eggs from light green all the way through blue, yellow. I mean, there's just a huge variety of colored eggs. And it's not
Yep.
so much people think that eggs that are brown shelled are healthier. It's not so much the color of the egg that makes the egg and its contents healthier. It's what the chicken was eating. And also, I really think a lot of it has to do with how the chicken was raised. So you mentioned that out at Kirmore Farm, they are running around in the pasture. They're eating grass. They're eating insects. They're
Yep.
happy. They have a life. I mean, they're running and they're free. Most eggs in the United States that are produced commercially, a lot of them they're called battery cage eggs, where they'll have chickens in these boxes, 4 to 10 chickens in a box or a cage that are stacked to 8 cages high.
Wow.
The chickens don't have any space to move, and a lot of times they're debeaked. Their beak is cut off, so they're just trapped in cages their whole lives and fed, and they're just basically spitting, producing eggs with no quality of life. Another thing you may see at the store where it says cage-free eggs, it means that the chickens are loose in a big floor. They might have straw or generally sawdust as their bedding, and there's some room for them to walk around, but it's still a really crowded, insane situation. Marlborough Peninsula is known for raising really and there's thousands of chickens in an egg in these egg houses, and it's really grueling. It's psychologically damaging to the chickens, but it's also psychologically damaging to the people who are attending these chickens. The next thing is free range eggs, where a lot of times it says the chickens have space to roam, but technically they just have a door that they could go out into a yard to run around. They're not free range in anywhere. There is a distinction. The eggs that Kirmora is providing for you, they say that they are free range eggs, but by the USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture definition, those are actually pasture raised eggs. So pasture raised eggs means that the chickens have access to pasture. They can go out, eat grass and plants and bugs and whatever else. And a lot of times their food is supplemented with some sort of cereal or grain. But a huge part of their diet is from grass or whatever chickens normally eat. Because chickens normally don't eat wheat and barley and corn, and a lot of the animals that are raised commercially, they're even fed animal byproducts. Basically, they're being fed other chickens that are just
wow.
So I think when you're eating those eggs, you're tasting partly as misery. These animals haven't had a good life. So I think that's one of them. One of the things that impacts it. And then also another thing is that people are saying like the brown eggs have a higher omega-3 content, and our bodies need omega-3 for cardiovascular health. I'm going to give them some credit. People who do have cage-free chickens, those eggs can have a higher omega-3 content depending on their diet. Like if they're giving flaxseed or something, then their eggs will be just a higher nutritional content. If you see organic eggs, organic has so many different meanings in the United States as far as the USDA is concerned. Everything's organic because it comes from the earth. But organic, as far as food goes, means that it was raised without pesticides or herbicides. But for a lot of small farms, family-owned farms, to get that USDA certification as an organic farm, it costs $6,000 or more a year, and small farms support that. So most of the farms that I worked with when I was working at the farmers market, they had their growing quality was higher than what was required to be considered, quote, an organic farm, but they weren't certified because they just could not afford that expense.
A lot of the farms that we work with they sort of classify themselves as all natural, right? Like they're naturally growing their food. all of their, it's not a pesticide. It's just using natural products to protect the food. And even one of the farmers, Botanical Bites and Provisions, it's a husband and wife, and Anita, Mrs. Anita, she said to me when I first met her, we do lose some of our food to nature, and that's kind of just, that's us giving back to the earth. And she's just like, we just plan for it, right? So like, we just make sure we grow enough so that we can give some back to the earth. And we also, get left with something as well to feed, our customers, with. So yeah, I think, just having local food, having food or animals that are cared for, it just really makes a huge difference. Because I feel like, and I was saying this, the other day, I feel like I've been eating most of my life food that's just not heavy in nutrients, right? So like, I need to eat more, and I need to supplement with vitamins, which I still take vitamins, because I just think that it's necessary. The reality is that I don't think I could, especially today, I don't think that I could eat enough natural food to supplement for vitamins. However, what I do try to do is, eat as much as I can as far as natural food is concerned. So yeah, I think it just makes a huge difference when you eat local food. It doesn't have to travel, and it's harvested at the right time. I perk up, and when I eat, fast food, or if I eat anything that's from the grocery store and I can tell that it's traveled far, I don't really have a stomach for it anymore. I got tomatoes and different things and cucumbers sitting in my fridge because that's from the grocery store. Because, I have that from my local farms. I taste everything that's in our boxes every week. So I take full advantage of that, and I can just tell the difference, and it is subtle. I will say that, but, when you taste it, and, you're full and you feel like you've eaten a good meal, that's when you really know the difference. So, I'm hoping that, this information that you're providing, JuJu, will help people to see the difference, and understand the difference. Because really what you're providing is education. And I think a lot of folks, including myself, I'm still at a learning curve, as it relates to eating, healthy, eating local, because the commercial markets, they figured out how to trick us. They figured out how to put certain words and lingos and buzzwords in front of us that make us think or believe, that we're eating healthy, but it's just not always the case.
No, it is. A lot of it is just, it's lingo. I saw a thing once that said, what is it? It said real food is ingredients. It's like real food doesn't have ingredients. Real food is ingredients.
I love it.
Another thing that said, if it's a food that wasn't recognized by your grandmother, it's not really a food. But also I feel like that doesn't take into account that some people have children young, really young. So you might be whatever 50 years old and have a grandchild, right? And so, but you've grown up with food that was really highly processed or something. So you don't know the difference yourself. My mom was, my mother hated cooking. She was one of the oldest of 8 children. And so she'd been cooking ever since she was very small herself. But she just really didn't get any pleasure out of it. It was like, I got to do this because it's what I do. But I got to her. My mother had dinner on the table every night. 5 o'clock, my mom, this is one of my favorite memories from my childhood. My mom would start making biscuits about 5:10, the Bisquick biscuits with the egg beater. My sister would go and dance to the egg beater. We'd run over from where we were watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood to go dance to the egg beater. And then about 5:35, my dad would come up the stairs. He'd whistle as he came up the stairs into the house. And we had dinner together every night at 6 o'clock. So, while she, did not really get pleasure from cooking, I do believe she got pleasure from providing for us. For us
Absolutely.
all sitting together, you'd say grace, and we would be together. So, I mean, for me, food has a lot to do with, you know, of the community that comes around it.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, I do cook for myself when I'm by myself. Like since I've been over here in Italy, I've been cooking some. Yeah, it's so freaking hot. I don't really feel like eating a lot. Really, I'm making prosecco. Hey, I'm not gonna front.
You said what? What did you say?
I said I'm drinking prosecco. I'm not gonna front. I'm drinking water today because I'm hydrating. Um,
Okay, good.
But for me, food is about it's love. I mean, this is my love language is having people come over and share a meal or be in my garden. And like I just invited actually one of my friends to come over and harvest the food from my garden because my kids aren't taking care of the garden and my husband went home for a month.
Okay.
So to me,
Okay.
that's the way, to spread love. Let me just
Absolutely.
back up a little bit and explain what you guys just seen as we were chatting, because like Brandon said, we could be talking.
We can
Um,
just talk.
so I beat all the eggs together. That was 4 eggs, and I say a splash of milk, which is about a quarter cup of milk. I just use regular milk, but I have used like rice milk or almond milk, but get the unsweetened kind. And then I put in some salt and pepper and about a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. But here it's pepperoncini, which is a little bit different, but that's what they have. So, and I'm using that because I'm in Italy. So now I am sauteing. I'll turn it down a little bit. Um, I'm sauteing the spinach, not spinach, what am I saying? I'm sauteing the zucchini, onion, and garlic just till it's kind of soft because it'll be in the oven, so it'll cook more. But I wanted to get it so that it's softish, right? And then when I add the eggs, it'll cook more, so as you will see. So I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to season that with some salt and pepper. So I did mention like you could do this with Swiss chard. So if you were using Swiss chard, you would have first sauteed the stems of the Swiss chard with the onion and the garlic till they were soft because they take longer
Mm,
to cook than the leaves do. And then once they were pretty soft, then you could add in the chopped leaves of the Swiss chard.
nice.
Chard has a lot. It can have a lot of water content in it. So you would wait until that water had evaporated before you added the eggs.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And then if this is a non-stick pan, of course I use my good old black cast iron skillet at home. So if you see that it's sticking, you can add a little bit more olive oil. Actually, where I'm staying, it's an olive farm, and they produce their own olive oil.
Wow.
So
So that's the olive oil you're using right now?
yeah, so I'm going to add a little extra glug. Shout out to Sabina Hills Olive Farm.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I'm going to add that. That's good.
I just so badly wanted to ask you so many questions about that process, but we gonna save that for another time.
What?
Making olive oil, but we're gonna save it for
Oh,
another time. We'll save it for another time. I feel like
yeah.
we'll go
Well,
down one
I
of
mean,
our
that was
tangents.
that was part of what I wanted to do while I was traveling was to work on an olive farm and see the olive oil process.
Mm,
One place I applied to through Workaway, bless their little hearts. They said, well, this work is really hard for young people, and we're concerned about your health at your age. So I was like,
got it.
fine, okay. So I just went ahead and got a
They
house
don't. They
sitting.
don't know you. They don't
Right,
know you for real.
right. I mean, what did I just do last month? I cleaned out a stable of 5 months worth of goat manure, whatever.
Exactly. They don't know you
Yeah,
like that.
it's silly. Right. So, all right. So with the frittata, this is cooking pretty quickly because the heat is up pretty high.
I was gonna ask you what temperature you have it on. Eggs are really tricky for me. Like I sometimes I don't know what temperature to put it on because I don't want to burn it. So is this kind of like you is this low, sort of medium? Like how at what temperature are you cooking with the eggs
So
now in the pan?
I'm going to turn it down to medium because I don't want the bottoms to scorch. And
Okay.
then, as you can see, like the top is starting to get a little bit set. It's
Yep.
not as gooey or whatever. So then you just you tilt your pan, and you let that gooey part run underneath,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And you just do that all the way around. So that's why I've set it down to a little bit lower temperature.
Gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
then once that's set, that's when it's ready to go into the oven.
Got it.
It's
Got it.
cooking quickly. That's okay. All right.
I don't think I've ever had a frittata before.
Oh yeah, they're wonderful because they taste really good cold as well. Like I'll eat this
Mm.
for breakfast tomorrow with some salsa, and a little bit of sour cream.
Yeah.
Tonight I'm going to have it for dinner just with some sliced tomatoes and cucumbers with a little bit of olive oil and lemon juice squitzed on top, a little sprinkle of salt. Hey, holler.
Mm. Mm.
So, there you go.
Word.
And then, like I said, you can use any vegetables. So yeah, I gave you the version for using Swiss chard, but
Yep.
I've made this with potatoes, with mushrooms and spinach is a really nice combination. You can
Mm.
throw in, if you eat ham or turkey bacon or whatever, you could throw that in there. So it's super easy. I mean, this is a really super fast meal. I mean, it's taken me 30 minutes at the most.
Exactly.
I'm very much into fast meals. Like
Mm.
like I said, by the time you listen to one Stevie Wonder album, you can have dinner cooked and on the table.
I
So
hear that.
now I'm gonna chop up this fresh mozzarella, and I just want to show you a difference. The fresh mozzarella comes. Let me just take this off the heat a little bit. The fresh mozzarella comes packaged in water.
Okay.
So a lot of the mozzarella we see, it'll say mozzarella, it'll be like a dry block. And that's
Mhm.
fine. I mean, you can use whatever kind of cheese you've got. You can use cheddar, Swiss cheese, Parmesan. While I'm just using mozzarella here because it's so fresh. I mean, it's locally made mozzarella. It's fairly inexpensive, and it gives a really good flavor to this. So mozzarella is not just for pizza, people. Use feta cheese. I've made use feta cheese. I wouldn't use blue cheese. That's a little too stinky.
Okay. What
Avoid
about
those.
goat cheese?
Oh yeah, goat cheese. Yeah, goat cheese. Goat cheese would be really nice with spinach.
Okay.
Bit of spinach.
Yeah,
Yeah, I ate so much goat cheese last month at the farm, so
I'm
I'm,
sure.
I'm, I'm gonna go give the cows some love right now. I just chop that up. But if you're pressed for time, by all means, you can use cheese that's already shredded in a bag. You know,
Okay.
use what you have. I mean, my thing is like you don't have to buy organic food. I mean, if you don't have the resources to get that, use what you have. Buy the best quality food with the resources that you have.
I
And
love
I
that.
had 7 kids at one point, with our kids, my stepchildren, and my nephew. And we had one income, only Valentine was working.
Wow.
But it was really important to me to provide healthy meals, partly because my stepchildren had been neglected, and the way that I could take care of
Mm.
them was through food. So
How
I
many?
just
Hold
want
on. How many kids? We're gonna pause for how many kids you had again. How many you were taking care of at one time?
I had
Let's go
7.
back to that. 7.
I had 7 kids. 7. So my husband and I have 2 children together, and then his 4 kids came to live with us. And then on Mother's Day, my nephew moved in. So then there were
Wow.
7 of them between 10 months and 20 years old. It was.
Wow.
That's why I'm in Italy, bro.
Look, the viewers and I do not blame you. Enjoy.
No, I'm in Italy because I've always wanted to come here. All right, so this is how your frittata should look before you get it into the oven, and you just
Beautiful.
want to put it in the oven just to get it brown. It's cooked. You could eat it like this, but I just like it to have a little bit of a caramelized brown color. That's another thing that's delicious in frittatas is caramelized onions. That's delish. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick this in the oven on broil for 5 minutes, about, watching to make sure it doesn't get scorched. and the crumble should be ready. So let me get that out for you. First, I need to cut my stove off. This is one of those dangly. Off, please. Off.
Yeah, this frittata really looks, I mean, gorgeous.
Yeah, you could add a little dill to it. I mean, you can
Okay.
garnish it or even just mix that into to flavor it up more. But like I'm really about like what does it already taste like? A lot of times things that
Yeah.
have a lot of sauces, I think it can add to the mix, but for me
Yeah.
it's also what does it just taste like pure?
Yeah. And you know what? I will say this. I am a sauce kind of guy. I love saucy food. I love different types of sauces. Like my wife teases me all the time because I'll be in the kitchen like making up little sauce concoctions. And I will say this, since I started eating locally, I feel like I don't need as many sauces with my food because the flavor
Mm.
is just better, right? Like I feel like now I'm like, oh, I was masking dry food, like food that just wasn't, either cooked properly that might be on me,
Yeah.
or food without flavor, because like I would eat kale and I would have to like douse it in so much dressing. And now when I get kale from Botanical Bites and Provisions, which is our source, where we source our kale and a lot of our greens from, I could literally just like sit on the couch and eat kale raw. And like it tastes like food,
Yeah.
like when I get it in the bag, it's very dry. It doesn't have a lot of flavor. And you're
Hmm.
eating kale for the sake of saying you're eating kale, like folks who got like the little kale t-shirts and stuff like that. That was really popular at one point, like sweatshirts and
Yeah.
stuff like kale. Like I'm cool. Check me out.
Wait a minute,
What love
actually that's one of my handles is Kale Queen 11 because my major dish is my kale salad, and I'm a queen, and my birthday is November 11/11/11. So that was my handle, Kale Queen 11.
I love it. I love it. So you were one of them people too. You had the
I
kale
was.
t-shirt on. But
I
that's what
never
I'm
got the
saying.
T-shirt. I never got the T-shirt.
Well, I'll tell you this. My great grandmother, she passed a couple months back, but I remember going to her house on Sundays and her making kale, and that was the first time that I really had an interaction with kale. And she used to get her food from local markets, and
Hmm.
I just remember her kale being very tender, being very good, and I was like, "What is this, Grandma?" I'm like, "Collard greens." She's like, "No, that's kale, baby." I'm like, "Kale? What's that?" Right? I'm a
That's funny.
kid, wondering what kale is, but that's actually, very reminiscent of my experience when I, eat from the farm that we work with. Is like that experience when my great grandmother used to say, like, I don't like the food at Giant. It doesn't taste like anything.
Hmm.
Food doesn't taste like how it used to taste when I was growing up.
Your
And
grandma grew up in Maryland?
she grew up in Maryland. She grew up in Mitchellville. Her
Oh.
family, so she was 90. She was 98 when she passed. So her family, you know, not just her, but the generation before her also lived in Mitchellville, Maryland, which is in Prince George's County. And it was a very, and it still is somewhat sort of an agricultural sort of uh, space. There's a lot of farms and you know open space and agricultural land or places zoned for agricultural sort of practices. And she used to get her food from her neighbors. She used to get her food from her parents were sharecroppers, so her parents would also bring food home, and they would come up with really creative ways, to make different dishes. I remember her telling me about snowbirds. Like, what's a snowbird, Grandma? She's like, when it snows, there's like these birds that would just like be like jumping around, and she said that they would kill them, and they would make, with whatever they had in the house, they would make they would bake the birds or grill the birds or whatever. So like
Oh,
she
flowers.
really is from the old school and sort of grounded my mother in eating locally, and the importance of eating food that's been harvested closer to the time that you eat it.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother kind of passed that down to me. It didn't really hit for me till I was in my 30s, and I was just like, digestive issues and it just didn't see. I just wasn't really getting what I needed out of food, so I started to kind of go on that journey, and that journey really brought me back to my grandmother and a lot of the things that she taught me just through being around her. So yeah, I mean, it makes a huge difference, you know, where you get your food from. The taste and everything is it's night and day.
Yeah, yeah. But definitely, I do believe in the freshest food possible. But again,
Mm.
I mean, part of what I do is about teaching people to eat on a budget. I mean, that's like
Yep,
my niche and my passion. So
absolutely,
get like I said, get the freshest possible food for what you can afford.
absolutely,
I had a
absolutely.
woman come and talk to my mother's group when I had the seven, my Paraguayan Brady Bunch, and she was talking about, oh, you should only feed your children organic food, blah blah. And I was like, okay, I have seven children, and
Word.
three of my children have been malnourished, and so I'm
Wow.
trying to get them up to a healthy weight. So rather than spending $2 on one apple, I can go to the
Yeah.
store and I can buy a bag of apples that'll keep my kids, snacks for 2 days.
Yep.
So definitely don't feel shame if you cannot buy the top. Definitely
Yeah.
buy the best quality of what you can afford. But yeah, if you have like awesome food available to you and you can afford it, and it's not just about the food. Like this is why I'm so into what you're doing. It's not just about food; it's about community. It's connection.
Yeah.
It's like talking about your grandma, your great grandma.
Most of my great grandmother. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go next door to get food from the neighbors. Like,
Yep.
my neighbor are the farmers that you're sourcing from. I
Yep.
think that's the coolest thing, man. I'm so all over that. So all over that.
Yep. Yep. So what are you slicing these tomatoes for? Are you putting that on top of the frittata?
So yeah, that's gonna be my side on my frittata.
Mm.
And then I've got this cucumber. Yeah, there's a lot of cucumbers here. This one, we can talk about cucumbers.
Yeah.
um,
Why not?
Yeah, cucumbers are they're a great food. Like, you can just eat a cucumber if you have trouble just sort of like drinking water to stay hydrated. Eat a
Yeah.
cucumber. Squeeze a little
Or
lemon juice on there and sprinkle a little bit of salt on there, and you're
yep.
getting some liquid in your diet. A
Absolutely.
lot of the cucumbers, the skin is really tough. So some people have trouble digesting them. So with this particular
Mm.
cucumber, I'm just taking the skin off. But I've seen, smaller, cute. The younger it is, the less tough the skin is,
Got
basically.
it. Got
Yeah.
it.
So just gonna have a little bit of that right there. I'm gonna check on the cottage. Should be needs a few more minutes.
And just for you, Juju, I got like a 10-minute warning.
Okay. I'm
Yep.
gonna
Yep.
I'm gonna dish up some frittata here in a sec. But I just want to show you, I did the crumbles ready. So
Mm.
I'm going to eat it with a little bit of yogurt. I've got this, they don't have Greek yogurt here. So I just got regular yogurt, but you can use vanilla ice cream. Tasty. That's going to be a little snack later. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this frittata out. So,
Can you show the crumble again and like pull it into the camera so that people can see it?
yeah, hold on.
That bowl that you
Oh,
had.
the bowl. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that looks delicious. And those berries, like to your point, they're kind of still in their natural state,
Mm-hmm.
right? They didn't like mush down or cook all the way down. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that they're perfect.
Yeah, but I mean, I like my food to have some
Absolutely.
substance. So I could keep cooking it. I mean, I could cook it down to it's like a really, really mushy jelly state, and it would still taste really delicious. But personally,
Yep.
I just like it to be still in its form.
Absolutely. I've heard people call that al dente. I
Oh,
guess I mean, I guess I don't know if you would call it that with fruit, but I know with like pastas and stuff like that. Ooh, that frittata looks I can't even eat cheese, and this is like I'm I'm like, if I could, I'll just take one of those non-dairy pills.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
That
use
looks
those too.
so
That
good.
is really interesting too, talking about milk products because normally I can't eat milk products. Like I can eat butter and ice cream, but
Yep.
I can't drink milk and I have a little bit of trouble with cheese. But over
Mm.
here I don't because it's so fresh.
When I was in Jamaica, I experienced the same thing. I don't know
Hmm.
what it is about the U.S.'s milk products. I can't do any of it. I can do butter, but I cannot do cheese, sour cream, ice cream, and pizza's my like. I grew up eating pizza like every other day, right?
Uh,
So like cheese was my friend, and now I've totally taken him out of my diet, which is a struggle. So I'm looking at this right now, and I'm like,
yeah.
mm,
So
that
you can,
looks banging.
I could have even left this in the oven a little bit longer so it got kind of
Yeah,
crispy brown. But
yeah.
this is plenty melty for me.
No, that looks delicious, and
And
I'm
then
sure that cheese is like,
yeah, it's nice and
especially over there, it's perfect.
it is really pretty darn good. Um, there we go. Whew. Yeah, and it's easier to get out if you use a nonstick pan, but I am a big fan of the cast iron skillet.
Yeah, me
So
too.
basically, this is my dinner.
Mmm.
I'm gonna go to a pool party of the block, and then this is dinner and crumble and dessert. I'm just
Word.
a little pepper on there, and that's it.
That looks beautiful.
We're gabbing, but basically that whole thing took 40 minutes tops.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
No, it
to
was great.
listen to
And
a Stevie Wonder album, "Songs in the Key
it,
of Life," right?
exactly. Well, Songs in the Key of Life, I think that's a double disc.
Okay,
I
first
do
first
think
song.
that's a double disc. Maybe
Okay.
what's another one? Like Songbook or one of those, right? Those are like maybe 7 to 8 tracks.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All
But
right.
no, this looks amazing. And yes, you did it with grace. Thank you for walking us through this,
My
and
pleasure.
sort of explaining, how to prepare the food, like different variations, different, ways that you can prepare this. If you want to use Swiss chard or you want to use another type of vegetable, spinach. I really love spinach. I think I'm gonna try the spinach with goat cheese. I think that's just gonna like
Yeah.
that's gonna hit. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, I mean,
the spinach, okay, I'll give you a couple of recommendations for the spinach one then. So
perfect.
spinach has a lot of water in it, so definitely,
Hmm.
make sure the moisture is gone before you start adding the eggs. Otherwise, your
Okay,
eggs just won't set really well.
got it.
And then an herb that goes really nicely with spinach and cheese is nutmeg. So just like
Really?
yeah, a little pinch of nutmeg in there, and a little. I love the cayenne because it gives it a little boost. But yeah, spinach and goat cheese. That's right on.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, look, Juju, I'm gonna pan out. I'm gonna get us both back in here. Look, as always, it's an absolute pleasure, being in your kitchen. Thank you for recording with us all the way in Italy. I know you got to jump to a pool party and do 100 other amazing, fun things that we all wish we could do. We're gonna live vicariously through you.
Hey,
But
that's your house
tell
is,
them
man.
again, tell folks again, where they can find your cookbook, and just find more information about the work that you do.
Okay, so my website is www.nanajujurocksfood.com. On there, there's some blogs that has some other recipes as well. I just
Love it.
posted one a few days ago for sesame green beans. Um,
Mm,
yeah, so that's gone, and you can see the other things I do. So I also do postpartum doula work. I teach in the community, so I can adjust my classes for children or seniors. Or today, I got the idea of doing it for students who are going off to college. Some
ooh,
kids are leaving, going back second year, and going to be off campus. They may not know how to cook.
yeah. Oh, you
With
still
them
there?
ramen.
You
And
were you were
also,
breaking up just a little bit. You were breaking up just a little bit.
oh, okay.
You're back
I
now.
also design, well, this year I'm not doing it, but I design and install gardens. So you can take a look at my gardening world on my Instagram and also follow my journey around Italy and where else I'm wandering. And that's at Instagram, Nana JuJu's Gardens. To get the cookbook, you can subscribe to the People's Market DMV CSA.
Absolutely.
And because you get a free cookbook with your first box. And if you like it and you want to give it as a gift or just, I don't know, pass it around something, you can order it on Amazon. You can find the link on my website, or you can just query Eating Well on a Budget, Healthy and Homemade Eating Well on a Budget by JuJu Harris, and it'll pop up.
Perfect. Well, thanks, JuJu. Just real quick, for the People's Market folks, subscribe. We are accepting new customers every day, every week. We want to feed your family delicious food. And this is a sidebar for me, right? We get to work right now. We work with all Black farmers. It's such a pleasure to work with Black farmers and help them, help their communities grow, to sustain their farm, to build their capacity, right? Because these farmers every day are gaining new customers through us, which allows them to grow more, which allows them to be more innovative and creative. And the food is just delicious because they put their heart and their soul into it. So, check us out. Our website is www.thepeoplesmarketdmv.com. The same for our Instagram handle. You can find us at The People's Market DMV. And, check us out. The way that you join is join our wait list. And then if we, have the capacity, we will send you an email or a text message for you to join. So that's really it for me. Again, I'm Brandon Starks, founder and CEO of The People's Market. And, once again, thank you for joining us today for another, virtual cooking experience with the JuJu Harris, she's our culinary educator for the People's Market. I'm just going to call it. That's who she is for us. She's teaching us and teaching you all. She's the GOAT. So thank you, JuJu, for joining us all the way from Italy. Much love. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Maybe we can do this again in the next week or 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right.
All right, JuJu.
All right.
Peace.